What's up, family? It's your main man, Coach Crump, and another great episode of the Boy Man King podcast. I'm with my main man, Chizzy, co-host. Say what's up to the
Yes, sir.
people, Chizzy.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday, happy day, whatever day it is you are, whatever part of the world you're in, man. Hopefully you're having a blessed day, and we appreciate you tapping in with us, man.
Man, we got another great episode with another dope guest. We are happy and honored to accept to the platform published
Yes, sir.
author, speaker, entrepreneur, the man, the myth, the legend himself, none other than Mr. Aaron Victor. Welcome to the platform, my brother.
Hey, come on, y'all better talk to me nice. Listen, I ain't got much money, but if you talk nice to me, I might give you what I got. Listen, I am super excited to be here with you two today. Coach Crump, we talked a little bit offline. Chizzy, it's my first time meeting you.
Yes, sir.
But let me just say this. You don't have to threaten me with a good time when men get a chance to talk together.
Come on,
It's a
man.
little bit different when you're in the locker room.
Come on,
We're going to
man.
have a different conversation that people get a chance to see publicly. So
Yeah.
I'm going to stop because I think we're getting ready to get into something.
Yeah.
It started already. I like it. I love it. Let's get it.
And I love the mixture that we have, man. You know, I'm coming in from a coach perspective, and Chizzy is on his journey to be a professional men's counselor. And he's been in that space. We all of us been mentored, but you're coming in as a mental health expert, really even making your step even more so with your newly published book that you're coming out, man, helping men go through this transition and accepting who they are. So, man, we just want to just kind of like open the floor to you about just what this mission that you're on, man, about helping men.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I talk a lot about in my book, Good Enough, that came out last November, is this intricate relationship that my dad and I had. And so my dad passed away in November 2023. And when you're navigating kind of this grief piece and looking at your hero and trying to figure this other stuff out, I knew that it was time for me to actually stop hiding behind the platitudes, the awards, and everything else, and make that thing a little bit closer. You know, this is what the scripture teaches in Revelations, is that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And so unless you were kind of close in my circle, you didn't really know a lot. Because I wasn't comfortable just yet.
Come on.
And so that, again, still is a space in which we're hiding, which doesn't allow for us to be able to be locked and connected together as men, as brethren, because what happens where I'm from Detroit is if you let somebody know that you're weak, that means they get a chance to get at you on the field, the court, and the streets. And that's one thing we're not going to do is let you know where I'm weak at. But again, if we go scriptures, I'm just saying, I don't know who all listening that.
But before we go scripture, let's go back culture, because we didn't verify the jump shot or, you know what I'm saying, the handle. And so we just want to make sure you properly classify yourself as a hooper. No, I didn't say as a hooper. I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
You may love the sport of basketball. You may love, but so where are you in that continuum of as it relates to sports? You know, we just want to make sure we're classifying you appropriately in this context.
See, here's the beauty of this: when you know, and
you ain't gotta say it.
I understand why we're classifying and taking a step back to answer this question. So let me be very clear. My primary sport growing up was baseball until I was 14.
Okay.
My high school coach that I started playing basketball with asked me one question. He said, "Where do you think the kids that get the baseball scholarships get them from?" I said, "They get them from the warm states. If you've been to Detroit, you know it ain't warm." He said that I need you to play a different sport during baseball season to become a better basketball player. From 14, and then in 2.5 years, because I signed early, I signed with Oregon State University first. Back then, it was the Pac-10. They had just won the national championship with UCLA. So let's not mess around like your boy don't know what he's doing.
Okay. We had to verify.
Your resume.
Let me give the rest of the verification. Coach, I'm not mad.
Okay.
So then the coach that recruited me got fired. I'm old enough. There wasn't no transfer portal. I transferred to a little school in Indiana, Valparaiso University. Played there. Went to the Sweet 16 in '98. Got inducted into the school's Hall of Fame. I've had an opportunity to work with the Willie Greens, who actually is the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. I coached a dude by the name of Jordan Crawford, who actually played in the NBA for 6 or 7 years. So when we come to this basketball thing, Listen, it's verified.
Oh, yeah, that's verified.
He said
But
it's
we're gonna
verified.
still Google on the back end and just do some due diligence. But I would trust you, you know what I'm saying, as a man of your word and as a man of God.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
it's a pastor's kid's a PK, so he might have a little
You know
reputation. He
what I'm
might,
saying?
he
Nah,
might be standing on principle. So
yeah,
we could take it.
yeah. I think all your information is very much what we call researchable, and so therefore
Yes, sir.
we'll come back and put a stamp on that, man. But welcome to the room of hoopers. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And
For sure.
but Chizzy is more like
Here we go. Here we go.
situational. So just know that he kind of gets it, kind of don't. But we're gonna keep it going, keep it flowing, and having a good time, man. So back to being good enough as a man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let's get
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the basis of the title. Obviously, we could infer what it means, good enough, but tell us what led up to this book and the culmination of the title and what was that journey like? Because I think that's important to convey to our viewers as well.
For sure. So as a hooper, I stand about 6'7.5", 6'8". Been tall like that most of my life. My grades have been fantastic. I was National Honor Society. But I can start giving you all these different accolades, and people started understanding as I got older is that how they saw me wasn't how I saw me.
Facts.
How God saw me wasn't how I saw me.
Yeah.
And so what starts to play out is that until we fix and fill that hole and heal that hole that's in your heart, you can't sex it enough, you can't drink it enough, you can't outperform it enough, can't serve it enough, you can't do nothing of it enough. Right. And so as I started on this journey, going to make sure that I took my last book and brought it a lot closer, it was really this theme that started showing up that no matter what you were doing, you still felt like you weren't good enough. Where did that come from? And so with the intricacies of me and my dad's relationship, I said, as my good drama teacher used to tell me, she said, if you got it, use it. And so that's how I started interweaving he and I's relationship from the intro into the conclusion about what some of the spotlights that he was showing me the whole time that I was missing, because I started watching some of his behavior subconsciously, trying to perform as opposed to showing up authentically. And when you are doing more performing than showing up authentically, there's something in you that believes that the room needs something different of you versus what God already provided of you.
Yeah, and talk about how when you're performing, when you're in that space, it's so exhausting. Like, can we free the men to be like, bro, like, I know you think you're doing a good thing and your heart's in the right place and you're on the, but when you're in a performing space, man, you're gonna burn out, bro. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
I think you bring up a point. It's not about if, it's just about when.
Yeah.
And what happens, especially in our country, is that men of color, African American men, the only utility we were taught that we had was what we provided, whether it was protection or additional resources. Yeah. So now when that subconsciously is driven down into you, if you actually don't have that, then now you're trying to figure out, what is my value? What is my utility? And we've seen many stories where men have struggled with the self-image of that, and they've gone off the beaten path. That's why we see a lot of our brothers incarcerated. Not because they wanted to make a decision that will ultimately impact their lives and generations to come. It was, if this is what you're telling me I only have worth in, then I got to go find this piece out because I don't have any other options. Yeah. And so even when you get to those moments where you're the CEO and, you know, your brand just jumped off, you just got off a stage talking to 10,000 people, when that hole is still there, you still walk away empty trying to still fill it. And that's one of the most disheartening feelings to ever have.
And we're gonna get on the couch a little. Cheers, if we're gonna go to the couch a little bit, I'm gonna give it back to you on this after this one, man.
Okay.
But man, I'm just gonna go here as a man. Let's just have a conversation as men, man. Being that you're in this space and we're talking, you know, one of the things I learned about myself, and I like both of you to talk about this. And Chiz, I want you to give the floor back to you. Is, man, when that competition spirit go left, when you're so used to, like, in America, it's like, if I don't win or if I'm not processing that I'm winning, it's not that I lost, but I'm a loser. And that kind of subconsciously kind of went through my life where I had to really struggle in my mid-30s. And the pandemic forced me to have a conversation with my wife, but just that constant also, not just performing, but it's kind of blended with competing. It's like, I gotta win. I gotta come on top. And I even brought that into my marriage. Like, I'm like, I had to say to myself one time, bro, why are you competing with your own wife? You know what I'm saying? Like I had to be honest. I don't know if other men ever had this, but I had to be honest. Like, bro, like, so we talk about good enough, it's like I already got the prize. I'm already married. But in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm still like, nah, man, I got to make this play. I got to make this happen. And again, going back to that battle that we have that we're not articulating or having enough conversation amongst other men, like I'm telling you, for me, it's like I had to free myself. Nobody else could free me, too. That's the other part. My wife couldn't free me. She's frustrated, right? My victim mentality is projecting onto the world a certain way that I feel entitled about certain things. It's like, nah, bro, like I gotta stop putting myself in these mental narratives that's driving this mentality and behavior that's ultimately dysfunctional, or you know what I mean, we're gonna be a train wreck.
Productive.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say real quick. Like I know for me, growing up as a spiritual child, as a child of a pastor, as a child of a father who was heavily involved in church, and being my parents being married 50 plus years to this day, and seeing that, I know for me, my destruction was having to feel like I had to aspire to what they had, primarily because that was what I saw to be successful. And come hella high water, I'm sorry, I'm gonna use that expression. I was going to have a family, I was going to have a wife, I was going to have children in this conventional family nucleus. And I had to do a lot of stuff, performances, to get to that particular place that I was being disingenuous with myself about. You know what I mean? And so when I heard you, Aaron, earlier, you said you had an intricate relationship with your father, and that played out in particular ways. Did you ever? I know I experienced. Do you ever experience this? I gotta be like him or them, or I'm not successful enough if I don't aspire to have that, if I don't achieve what he has or my father has from a competitor. And it wasn't malicious. There's no indictment on my dad's character. He's my hero, just like how you said, he's my hero. But I had this narrative in my mind that forced me to really just not be true to myself. And that played out in making bad decisions in relationships. That played out in divorce. That played out in the bravado. And I'm a pastor's kid. Like, I'm heard. I'm educated. I'm articulate. Like, why you're not receiving me in the way that I feel you should receive me, sort of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if you relate, but talk a little bit about those intricacies, growing up as a pastor's child in that environment, and how that played out for you.
For sure. Man, it's interesting, writing this book, I realized more people have, a similar story. And so part of the intricacies is, I say, one of the things that was great for me is that sports saved my life.
Okay.
One of the things that was detrimental to me is sports screwed up my life.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a team sport, there's no way, if you're going to do it at any level of excellence, that you're not competitive.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It is 100%. If you're going to start, if you're going to get a scholarship, if you're going to do any of that stuff, there's a part of you that just goes, hey, I like Coach Crump. I like Chizzy. They're my dudes. We can talk about it afterward, but I got to rip their heads off today in practice.
Right.
Like, it's just that simple. Like, we got
to.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, it's the utility of it is good on the field and in the court, but in regular society, it's destructive. And so one of the things that was tripping, because my dad was probably the most laid back dude you're gonna ever meet. One of the things I talk about, one of his mantras, and people give me credit for it now. He says, "If it ain't heaven or hell, or life and death, it ain't that serious." Fact. And when I tell you he meant that, he meant that. But what caused the dissolution of he and my mom's marriage when I was 15 was the fact that my mother had this aspiration. My mother got this drive. She got this push. She got it from my grandfather. And he says, what if all I want is what we have right now? She said, that ain't going to be good enough. And so then he started making an adjustment to figure out, well, the two can't walk and be agreed on this. because you want something else that I don't believe that we need to aspire towards, and you start watching that stuff start play out. And so as a 15-year-old boy, I'm going, wait a minute, but you taught me that this is what God says, and this is how we're supposed to play this out. And all of a sudden, you're doing something different. Like, wait a minute, hold on. So by God's grace, I never took it out on God, but I did take it out on him for a while. Because I couldn't see the fragility of the humanity, that this is a different space to be able to walk in. You know, I'm almost 20 years into being married. I still don't some days think I know what I'm doing.
Come on. Let's just clap it up for the almost 20 years, boy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and let's clap it up for the fact you still don't know what you're doing. Can we touch and agree as somebody who's 19? I'll be 19 years this year married, 23 years with my wife. Man, yeah, still shoot my shots, bro. I just stay in the gym. I tell everybody, just stay in the gym, bro. You're going to make a couple. That's all I can
And I think as long as you recognize that, and not just in marriage and in life, and you recognize that you know nothing, you'll always be in a position to be humble enough to receive new information. And it's always a journey. It's always a desire to learn and grow. So I do receive, that's the space that I'm in for sure. For sure. You know me, I took my hits from marriage and divorce. And that was a lot of reasons why, for me, the transformation came in terms of me recognizing I can no longer fake it no more. Like my name and my eloquence and my charisma is not going to do it. What work do I have to do in myself to get to that space? So that's going to be my question for you. Like, when was your tipping point sort of moment where you're like, all right, I'm just got to figure this thing out for myself, so I can be the best version for me.
That's a great question, Chizzy. I think for me, it was two moments, and I talk about it in the book. I think it's chapter 11 and 12. In chapter 11, I turned 40. And I remember coming into 40, it was one of the most head trippy things I had ever gone through in my life. Yeah. You know, on paper, you know, been married over a decade and done stuff corporately and spoke different places there, consulting. Like, you know, I'm the youth pastor at my church. I'm leading praise and worship. Like, you know, on paper, your boy killing it. Yeah. But I remember praying one day, and God says, "So do you want me to be Lord, or do you still want to be Lord?" And it paused me for a second. I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Remember what I said in the 10 Commandments, I will have no other God before me." He said, "And the pressure you're feeling right now is me destroying the God that you have made yourself to be." And I said, "But who am I? I'm 40 years old. Who am I not having all of these things that have preceded that? I've gotten accolades. I've had success, so to speak. How would you want me to do?" He said, "If you let me break it, I'll show you how to put it back together again."
Come on.
And it was one of the hardest things to do. You know, I wake up this morning with this revelation, and I tell my wife, I said, "I don't know how to love you. I don't know how to be married to you." I said, "And for a minute, I got to figure this out." And I told her, I said, "Hey, if it's too much as I'm going through this transformation, I understand."
Man,
I said, because I'm messing with you. I'm messing with your whole paradigm and emotions right now, because I can't move us forward the way that I am, because I'm going to kill me and you.
Wow. In real time, how did that play out in real time? How did that play out in real? I hear you and I receive what you're saying, but we know at the end of the day, what women, I'm not saying women, I don't want to be, but we know what the expectation is or can be on a marriage, on a relationship from a female perspective. How did that play out in real time?
How did she respond?
How did she respond?
My wife is probably the most chill woman you ever meet. If you see emotion, either up or down, be nervous, because she flows like this. Like, legit, that's just who she is. Yeah. And to watch me break her heart, because I'm literally shattering everything that she had known of us in our relationship. And the one thing I always love to tell people, before we ever got together, did anything romantically, we were legitimately friends first. Sure. Legitimately friends first. No nonsense. Wasn't trying to wait for, her man to slip up and I'm going to slide in there. Wasn't none of that. We were legitimately friends first. And I just told her in this moment that even your friend doesn't know how to be in relationship with you. Wow. Listen, earth shattering. Yeah. And you talk about tents in my house for easily 18 months. Easily 18 months. Yeah. Easily 18 months. It was because she doesn't know me. And I'll be honest, I didn't know myself.
Come on.
And I wasn't messing around when I said it. And I said, I know for you, you just want to see some activity. And I'm telling you, I don't even trust the activity because I felt like everything I had been doing up to that point was manipulating her and everybody around me because I wanted to win. I wanted to perform. And I didn't know how to authentically, as the scriptures say, he loves a cheerful giver. And I knew at that moment when he told me he was crushing the idol I had created of myself, that I was not a cheerful giver to her or those that are around me.
Man, I share so many similarities to this. Like and this is kind of spooky. The timeline, the conversation, the tension in the house. You know, mine happened in COVID. I approached my wife after being with her for almost 20 years, and I apologized for the expectation, the Superman complex, the demigod. I'm gonna always have your back. I actually said I'm gonna not always have your back. I'm gonna not always hold you down. I'm gonna not always do anything. All I can tell you is I'm going to be committed until the day I die. But you need to put all your trust and all your hope in God. Like you don't need to put it on me. And I apologize because I postured and I presented myself as if someone who was always going to be able to solve the problems and figure it out. Like, no, I'm tired. I don't know what I'm always doing. I'm tired of acting like I do, and I'm tired of acting like I always got it together. I need you to see me, not a version of me that I've presented to you, but I need you to see at this stage of my life, I can no longer move forward with you with the version I'm presenting to you. Like that's not going to work for me. And we both took the time. I just level set expectations, and then she actually rededicated, rebaptized for 2 years, been on this journey. And we both realized we had a conversation this morning. We needed to do that. Our marriage, like the tension was necessary, the awkwardness was necessary, the conversation, the heartbreak, and what's a heartbreak element in there as well. I don't want to get into that, but the point I'm making is that all that we had went through COVID, right before COVID, right after COVID, was necessary for us to be in the space that we're in now. Talk about the necessary tension as a man when it comes to your relationships to get to the better version of you.
Man, here's one thing I would hope that every man is getting some piece out of this conversation where they're listening. Is that when you are stuck so much in performance, you believe so much in the fact of your performance that it's going to get you to the desired outcome as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And the moment I had that shift, I had to then go and say, all I was doing was taking us to the end of our relationship on the slow path. Yeah. It was like taking a slow lethal injection. Yeah. And what that part was difficult is because you literally are learning each other all over again. And so if you learning each other all over again, it's like date nights don't feel the same. Music that you play don't feel the same. Hey, you're trying to be as cordial as possible, but then you got to give space to say like, yo, today I'm not feeling this. You mean to tell me you really ain't feeling all of these years and these memories we got together? I'm like, if we gonna get to happily ever after, death do us part, we can't do that. I literally told my wife, I said, I'm killing the dude that you knew. I'm killing him. We make it to live our vows out the way the Lord asked us to do it. I said, it won't because of this dude. I said, and I don't know if you got it in you as I'm learning on the same part to be patient with me. But if you want to be patient with me, I promise you it's going to be a better version on the other side. But we got to learn this version together. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like in some aspects, I'm still 7 years into this journey. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of what I've been able to watch that God gave me a gift is that on my 40th birthday, my youngest niece was born on my birthday. Mm-hmm. And I watch her and how she navigates life at 7 years old. And I'm watching how she navigates. I'm like, there's a level of freedom. There's a level of, she doesn't have the trauma, the disappointments. There's a level of hope and expectation that she has, that she moves with a level of fearlessness that I'm going, that's what God always had given me. And I let the world take it from me. I'm going to get it back.
Yeah. Let's be clear for brothers that are watching and listening. Like, it's only through God's grace that people, yourself and Crump and other men who have had this experience can transition into kingship in this particular way. Because, if you know anything about a female and you know anything about yourself, the idea of you sometimes drives that entire relationship.
Mm.
I know that from personal experience from my failed marriage. Not to say that there isn't culpability on both sides, but the idea of this thing is the driving force for a lot of things. And to your point, it ultimately will reach its demise because the frustration becomes you said you was this and you're not showing up as this.
Mm.
And that could last a month, it could last 5 months, it could last a year. But at some point, that fake part of you, that dream you sold will come crashing down. And so I really applaud the fact that you recognize that, and even more importantly, that your wife
Come on,
was
man.
able to see the
Shout out,
God
shout
man
out
in
to your
you
wife.
and the investment that you was willing to make in making yourself to get to that higher understanding. And make no mistake about it, I could only imagine that is a arduous and uphill battle
But
for any relationship to take.
but let me say this. But let me
Um,
say this, Chizzy. This what I think we learn as men in that space. And Aaron and Chizzy, you both could.
mhm,
It took us so long to get there, not because of her. She
yeah,
always wanted to get there. I felt like the vulnerability. I felt like she couldn't handle it, or it will break her. We
yeah,
sometimes stop. I sometimes in my head was saying that my wife was so weak, or she was the weaker version, or she's a woman. I would just assume she couldn't handle
mm,
my
yeah,
mess, my brokenness, my dysfunction, my immaturity, for me to place it at her feet because we had an emotional thing before or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, or I see what her challenges with her dad or her man what I realized is that man, I was holding our marriage hostage because God appointed me to be the leader, and I was
mm,
still posturing, I was still presenting, I was still performing, I was still competing to show it instead of just being, instead of just this is
yeah,
what it is, and accepting not just what it is, but the work I gotta do, and the work we gotta do, and the work you gotta do for us to get
yeah,
to the part that we want collectively. You know what I mean? So that's
yeah,
one of my like when I went through it, I was like, part of her frustration was like, what took you so long? Like, part of her frustration is like you could have been told me this. Like we could have been worked on this. You know what I mean? So
that's crazy though, right? We make all these assumptions. We make all these assumptions. I made them. Trust me. So this is why these conversations and your story, Aaron, your story, Crump, and other stories like this are vital for men like myself who are still seeking and have a desire to be in relationship and to have a nurtured, healthy, spiritually based relationship. Because I mean, I've seen the back end of it. So now my conversations even look different. How I show up looks different, because it's no longer about this perception. I'm not selling a dream to nobody. I'm selling, I'm just here trying to be a man of God, trying to figure it out, just ready to learn, ready to be humble. And if you are willing to take this ride with
come
me
on,
along this journey, and we could grow together as a team, because I'm trying to understand my purpose through God so that I can be the best version of myself for you and for my kids and for whatever, then we could probably rock on. But I think those are the real conversations that single men, most men, are hard pressed to have because they feel like the dream is what the attractiveness to them. And it kind of reduces the intellectual capacity of a woman, because to your point, you said, well, why you didn't tell me this a long time ago? We could have been farther along in the process.
mm-hmm,
But that's sometimes how we get in our own ways. The Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. It don't say a woman who finds a husband finds a good thing. So that tells me that there's something super, super special, and women are equipped with so many other things that we have no idea of, that's of value to us, period.
Now, Chizzy, watch this. Now, watch the craziness of what Crump started that I was living and you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if you go deep into the scriptures talk about wisdom at the very beginning is a woman trait. If you just go and break everything down, wisdom is a woman trait. Then you go back to Genesis where it says, where the scripture says, God saw that it wasn't good for man to be alone. So now, before he could screw anything up, he put him to sleep and then took the woman out of his rib. Why is the rib important? The rib is important because I would challenge anybody that watches this, let somebody break your rib or remove your rib and tell me how well you're going to do with all your vital parts.
Nothing.
Tell me how you're going to do with your lungs, your heart, your kidneys, all of the things that the ribs actually protect. God took her from that protective space. Wisdom is actually a woman trait. And in our arrogance and delusion, we're not operating in the wisdom or the protection in which he connected us with.
Yeah.
So her frustration is supposed to be, we would have been further down the path had you trusted God's wisdom he's given me and the fact that he anointed me and for my connection to protect the very vision that he put in your spirit.
Yeah, come on. And man, listen, this has been, man, I hate to put this on wax. I hate to put this on wax, but I gotta put it on wax. This has been one of my favorite episodes ever on the Boy Man King podcast, man. This has been food for my soul. So I don't imagine what it's gonna be for the community, for the culture. Aaron, leave us with two things. First, your final thoughts, what you would like to leave men on this journey, and also how can people learn more about what Aaron Victor has going on and be a part of it?
Yeah. So first of all, listen, YouTube, I've been following. Coach, you saw it. Yeah. I've been following you. I've been watching you make these moves, sir, since we met back in 21. Because from the very day that you and I talked, I could hear the passion for men and purpose. And I knew you were going to do something with it. So I was like, listen, let's just figure out the social media piece and just stay connected that way. So I love the fact that this is a space. It is beautiful when men reason together. So thank you all for being able to have me to be a part of this conversation. It is necessary.
Come on.
It is overdue. And in the space in which we're moving within our country and our world right now, the more we can have men to be open and to have men to be able to lean into. And let me say it this way. What we have pushed men to, especially in church, we push them in spirituality to make us moralists. What do I mean by moralists? It's all about, hey, don't be lusting after that woman. Stop watching that pornography. Get your pride out the way. And all that stuff is beautiful. Let me be clear. That goes against fruit of the spirit. We can talk through all the scriptures. But those are training wheels. Those are training wheels. Because until a man can actually lean into, I'm not cheating on my wife. I ain't looking at no porn. I ain't got this. But something Chizzy said to me made me feel a way. And I need to be able to confess that to one another and to be able to help me process through it. Until we get there, we still going to be playing with these training wheels. And the enemy is leveling up his vices. The enemy is leveling up his schemes. And we as men haven't been prepared because we're too busy trying to keep men to keep their self to themselves and to honor their families, as opposed to being able to lean into the other things that they navigate on a daily basis. And so I highly encourage anybody who's saying, hey, man, I just watched this, or, man, I didn't know y'all existed, man, subscribe, plug in, send this to other people, because these are the seeds that start the conversations that make men feel comfortable to be able to say, I didn't know that this other world or other people were around me like this, but man, this feels good to not have to carry this weight forward. As far as man checking me out, you can always check me out on Instagram at Ask Aaron Victor. I do this thing called Get Over the Hump on Wednesdays and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern, which is just a thought or refresher to help kind of push people into their purpose for the rest of the week. And a lot of times when life gets to life and gets to beating you up a little bit, sometimes it's just a refreshing reminder about where you are, that you're on the right path. Be not weary and well doing. We got you. And it's been beautiful to watch things blossom from that. 2025 is going to be an absolutely amazing year.
Yes, it is.
I love it. Jizzy, talk to the people, man. What's your final thoughts?
Man, my cup is full right now, bro. I'm just glad that, like Aaron said, like, it's nice when you can reflect on your experiences and know that your experiences aren't necessarily just for you. It's for other people to benefit as well, which is why all of us who function in this space do what we do, because we recognize that God has blessed us with the opportunity to have a greater love for the brothers that we sometimes can't even be in contact with. So that's the one thing I love about social media and different platforms. Our tentacles are far reaching. So there's so much reach we can have in this space, man. So I'm just humbled and appreciative of the opportunity to continue to be in the presence of powerful brothers like Aaron and like yourself, so we can all grow. I learned something from every conversation we have. I'm enriched by every conversation. I learn more, so I'm appreciative of that as well.
Yeah, man. Me too, man. Listen, like, subscribe to Boy Man King podcast on our YouTube page, man. Share this episode. Powerful with some man in your life. Every man needs to hear this, man. Follow us on Boy Man King Talk on IG, man. And as we say on the Boy Man King platform, the journey continues. Man, y'all be blessed. We out. Until next time.
Blessed.